Hi everyone. Very good afternoon to you all. So today we are going to have a brief discussion on social self-care, and I have Angela here to help me with this discussion. Yeah, Angie is here. Right. So just a minute. I will invite Angie to help start our discussion. Yeah. So Angela is here to help us understand very clearly what it means to care when we talk about social service. Hi, Angie.
Good morning.
Hi, good afternoon. It's afternoon in Accra, Ghana.
Okay.
Angie, good
Okay.
to
Good
see
afternoon,
you.
everyone.
Hi,
Good to see
Angie.
you too.
Good
Can
afternoon.
you
Good
hear
to
me?
see you.
Thank you. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
See you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome.
Angie, good to
Uh,
see you.
Good to see you too, Atubia. I hope our
Yeah.
connection work well the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I can see Veronica. Hi, Vero. I can see Ifa. Thank you for joining us. So we are here to talk about social self-care, and Angela will help us do a very good job.
No.
Basically, Angie, I want you to introduce yourself quickly so that I mean, everyone would know who you are. And even before you start, I want to say that we are so blessed to have you. And we say that when you talk about psych care, it's essentially about securing lives and improving well-being. And we are happy to have you help us attain this mission. So can you tell us a bit about yourself, Angie?
All right. So those on your platform, I guess they know me by now because we've done a few things
Yeah.
together. My name is Angela Amonte, and I live in New Jersey with my family. I'm a counselor. I'm an educator. I do have quite a few different things, but I'm excited. Anything to do with mental health, psychological health, physical health, self
Absolutely.
care is actually my passion. So I'm happy to make time to talk about this. And thank you, Dr. Utri, for doing this.
Thank you for taking time off your busy schedule. I know you are one of the busiest women around, and so when you take time off to help us address matters such as these, I get very excited. And let's go straight to the issue on the table. I mean, we talk about social self-care, and most often when we talk about that, we have so many other thoughts coming in. We talk about friendships, we talk about companionships, work collegial relationships and all that. Can you help us define what it really means to social self-care? What exactly it is?
Well, so social self care is what makes us relational human beings. We're all
Yeah,
not all relational, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. There's some part of relationship that you need to be in. You're from a family. Your
absolutely.
connections. The thing with social self care is our ability to interact with our external friendships, family, any other things that is social around us, and it's very important to us our self care. Without that, we don't achieve a good self care. But I want to talk about the fact that for you to succeed in social self care, you have to have a good self worth. You have to have good boundaries, and you also have to have a good self understand yourself. Otherwise, your social relation will be very bad. And I mean,
Right.
people have different type of social relationships, and I mean, it's supposed to be of benefit to you and the others, and not to strain you or be toxic in any type of way. So first, to deal with social self-care, which is our ability to socialize and have external connections. For some of us, we recharge by socializing. For some people, we recharge by just being by ourselves. But everybody needs social care. So, like I said, it first has to do with you defining yourself, who you are, you defining boundaries, and what relationships are important to you, what relationships you want to foster, what relationship helps you to live a fulfilling and meaningful life. And that's one of the things that
Absolutely.
on our social self-care.
Absolutely. Angie, I mean, that's a very handful information coming in. Can you talk about the domains? I mean, as you've rightly stated, what will be the specific domains for social self-care that will help us look at it in a very critical way? What will be the specific domains?
When it comes to self-care, the specific domains are first starting with yourself, and then also with close friends. Those are domains. It's basically how you reach out socially, right? It's about support groups. It's about if you have a pet. It's actually it's the different domains of self-care is actually based on the person, because people do different things socially to give them fulfillment, right? So for the
Right.
individual, what makes you best connect with others to improve your overall health, and how do others benefit from you, and how do you benefit from relating with others socially? And so for different people, it's different things, right? For some people, their biggest social care, self-care will be church, right? Because that's where they get their best support. That's where they have all their friendship groups. For some people, it's the different groups that they're in, whether you're in a Rotary Club, whatever it is, the different boards that you sit on, the different things that you participate in, even your family. Like, but my thing is the social self-care has been a buzz lately. It's connection. That's all it is. It's connection. What type of connections? And like I said, foster the good ones and break the bad ones. Any
Right.
social connection that is toxic for your health, just don't foster it. Put more energy in the ones that are good for you. Um, I would say that if you
Right.
doing activities with friends, like keeping up with friends, going on lunch dates, talking, catching up, sharing information, networking. It's serious. It's a big social thing, and you'd be surprised who can. It's not necessarily who can just help you, but who you can pick up a phone call, just ask a question because of networking or because of your social self care, right? People also don't forget about support groups. Support groups, it's a good social self-care. Whatever issues you have or whatever passion you have or whatever avenue you need something out of, you need to join a support group for it. And I always say there's no support group for it, and it's for you to start one. For you to start the
Right.
support group for that,
Right.
whatever
Absolutely.
bothers you. Um,
Absolutely.
I also find
Absolutely.
social, people have pets and don't spend time. That is really part of your mental health. That's social. It's playing with your pet, running after your pet, throwing frisbees for your pet to catch, rubbing them down, letting them also have safety. You're social because you're connection. We are people. There's a saying, the world is a cookie and we are crumbs, right? But all that crumbs makes the cookie. So how are you influencing your external core, and how are you influencing and being influenced socially? So when it comes to social self-care, I think that the boundaries are set for the person to make, and you choose what your social networking and social self-care works best for you.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I like it when you state that, social self-care also starts with the individual, because I think most often um I mean, we are pulled into that cycle of, it's just about other people, who are your friends, who are your old schoolmates, who are you hanging out with. But I'm happy that you indicated that it starts with you, the whole aspect of self-concept, perceptions about you, and that's kind of rippled to the connections that are around you. I think that point is very, very important. I wanted to also ask, having talked about the domains, I realized that boundaries do play a critical role in self-care. And when we talk about boundaries, then we also want to look at it in a very extensive way. So how would you put it? Is it that we have to go on and cut off toxic people, or there's a need to do a re-evaluation of who, when it comes to our cycle,
Mm-hmm.
who and who matters, who and who is in our courts,
Mm-hmm.
who is against us? Is that about boundaries, or it's just a very healthier way of extending yourself to give out and receive? Is that what
Well,
it is?
I believe that boundaries protect the things that are valuable to you. So, as a person, setting boundaries in every aspect, whether social, emotional, psychological, physical, setting boundaries just tells me as a person or everyone that this thing is valuable to you, right? So you can be in a social relationship or social self-care where this relationship is not just what you get out of it, but you are just part of the band. You're not addition, you're not subtraction. You just go. But you have to learn to, that's why the self definition is important. You have to learn to know who you are and know which places you survive in, which places foster your mental health, which places drains you, which places are toxic, and you pick and choose. That is boundaries. It's just, this is valuable to me, so I'll let you in or I won't let you in. Some people try to foster relationships. You could cut it off. It's feeding
Right.
into it or not feeding into it. Like with family members, you cannot help it. Those are relationships you have to foster, whether you like them or not, right? That they'll never go away, right? But there's a way to create boundaries. It's talking about it. It's giving
Absolutely.
expectations. It's you showing respect to other people's boundaries and then seeking for that. So when it comes to boundaries, I think that is an important part of self-care. And
Ab-
you can help honor your own emotional self-care, psychological self-care by putting things in place, by just
Absolutely.
letting people know. I see somebody asking a question. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
answer that later.
I've just seen it. So someone is asking, how do you get someone who is naturally antisocial to work on his or her social self-care without getting him or her offended? I mean, that's a very quick one there.
That's a great question.
Someone who is introverted, is
That's a
not people oriented, they want to be in their corner. How do you get them integrated into a network of friendships and cordiality and all
the
that,
thing
and
about self-care is
maintain the relationship with them as well?
like I mean the thing about social self-care is that you can't force people to create relationships. And some people, they're extroverts and introverts. I recharge with having people around me. I could walk into any room and strike a conversation with anybody. Some people
Right.
definitely recharge by being secluded, by being themselves. That is their natural temperament. That is who they are at core. That is what strengthens their inner being when they're by themselves. Do they need social care? Yes, they do, but it's slowly introducing them into different aspects. You first have to find out the person's interest. If the person loves music, maybe you start going to places with music. You have to slowly get to find out what is the person's interest, because most introverts do not spend time on their social self-care. It's one of their least problems. Trust me. It's one of their least
Yeah.
problems is because they don't find strength there, right? As much as it could give them fulfillment and it could add completion, some type of completion to their lives, most introverts don't believe in social self-care and it's uncomfortable for them. So you
Right.
have to slowly break the boundary, slowly break the chain, find the interest, start inviting the person to those places if they want to come. If they don't want to come, you go to that person's place with the things that will make them open up. It's slowly getting to know the person. If it's music, if it's food, if it's maybe some people just even want to be by themselves, right? In places where there's just some ambience. Maybe that's their
Yeah.
self-care. And people are allowed to be who they are because at the end of the days that are deeply
Absolutely.
us, and it's hard for certain people to let it go. So the key of acceptance will play a role in this part too. So I would say that get don't force things. One thing about our
Absolutely.
culture, can easily force people. Don't force people because you don't know what takes people out of their comfort zone and what doesn't. Just slowly introduce, slowly suggest, slowly do certain things,
Mm.
just different things, so you get the bait and you figure out what this person would want to do socially. That's a
Yeah. Yeah, I agree totally. I agree totally. And I mean, when he stated, when when he stated, okay, so that's for you, George. I think when he stated that the individual is antisocial, that was a bit concerning because you'd also want to look at it in a critical way. If they are introverted, that doesn't necessarily make them
yeah,
antisocial.
that's
It's just that they don't enjoy social.
correct.
Yeah, they are not stimulated by external situations and all that. They are very inward looking. And that comes with a cluster of strengths as well. So
Mhm.
definitely
Eh,
you would want to do that systematically and not push them into situations that are very discomforting for them. Angie, I wanted us to, I hope that answers your question, George.
So George,
And yeah, I wanted us to talk about social media and social self-care. And I'm just realizing that these days, I mean, we all seem to have a lot of virtual friends,
yeah,
and
not my
there's
friend.
the tendency to think that, I mean, outwardly, the perceived support, or yeah, so friendship support, social media and social self-care, how do we integrate the two and ensure that an individual is not living in a fairy tale land, but there's an understanding that, you know, the connections are real, the support is real, and there's nothing very fussy to healthy connections and social self-care. How do
Right.
we do the integration?
Well, first of all, the establishment is that social media is not real life. If that can be made clear, your friends virtually friends. You know, there's something about making friendships, which is building, growing, going through different things, and even in different settings, even in a work setting, even in a relationship setting, even in a church setting, even in a club setting, there are ways to
Yeah,
foster a relationship, and none of those are defined. So, first of all, your friends on social media, because they can all decide to drop you in a heartbeat. Those are not friends, okay? Those are convenient people. So, to me,
right.
if the people on social media are considered your friends, then that is something that you have to start looking into and digging into, because those are not real. Those social media, okay? That's social media. And so before you try to make social media people your friends, I mean, it's a club, it's a group, it's an entity that has been established that can be taken down. Our relationships, scrolling online, it's taking a bit much of our identity, our attention, everything that we have as human beings, because the social media now is almost like it's a whole place of its own. It's a world of its own, right? But it's not a factual world, because it's a world with edits, it's a world with all these things. So to me, if you consider people on social media your friends that you don't have real true connections with beyond social media, those are not
Right,
really, those are
right.
groups that support you, that encourages you, but they're not friends. And if you can't foster it beyond online or beyond social media, I don't know. I really don't. I
Okay.
want to say
And how do we extend, how do we begin to extend the conversations from virtual friendship into realistic ones?
people have done.
Now people, when people are bereaved, they even go on social media for support. So grief and all that, and there's an outpouring of perceived empathy and sympathy and compassion and a cluster of support words around that. How do we begin to integrate that narrative and maybe perhaps pull the virtual into reality? How do we begin to do that? Because social media is here to stay. And now, even with birthdays, I was telling some
It
group of friends of mine that
is.
no social media happy birthday. I want presents, real presents. We laughed over it. I told them, look, my next birthday, don't go on Facebook or Instagram and send me an icon. I need real presents. How do we begin to do that integration such that if someone is bereaved, if someone is, having a festive occasions or need some form of congratulations and all that, the support is real and there's an integration of a virtual experience into reality. How do we begin to change that narrative such that it feeds into our mental health as well?
Well, social media isn't bad at all, right? But it's like I keep saying, it's not real. And people have been able to make friendships beyond the social media. It's inboxing them if they have the same ideas and things that you care about, and going beyond and meeting people, meeting people and talking to people. Social media, like you said, is good. It's here to stay. It's still not
Right,
thing. People hide behind social media, thinking that they're creating relationships, and I believe that they'll get to a point where you'll be crushed because those are not true relationships. And
right,
it will be there when they can, right? But they cannot be there for you all the time. It's beyond.
right,
It's something on the screen, and
right,
screen friends. You can make it more. People have, like I said, people have made efforts, but it's effort beyond social media. It's inboxing people, saying, I have the same ideas like you have. How can we connect? People have connected.
right,
I've had conversations with people on Zoom about passions
right,
that I have based on what I've seen with their social media. I've hit them up and I've said that, can we talk more? Can we get to know each other? Because I have the same passion
right,
you have. There's something about the
right,
physical touch. There's something about the constant communication. There's something about sharing information back and forth that fosters relationship. Relationship is grown. It's not one time. Okay, so I get it. It does help. I actually know a lot of people who get a lot of support from social media, but I think that that's the best strength of support. So it will be there, but let's practice social self-care, dealing with real people. The pandemic is over. COVID is kind of here today. Is another type of cold, I believe now. Thank God for those who were able to make it through it. We just have to continue our social self-care because we as adults are even trying to are pulled in a lot, but the teenagers today don't understand social self-care even when they're physical. They literally text each other when they're standing next to each other. So I get,
right,
but I think we should master dealing with people first socially before we master
right,
that online. Because if we could do that, we could build better relationships online. We could have more meaningful relationships online after meeting people. I've made friendships that I think are it's very I see like a positive influence, in those
yeah,
relationships that is beyond social media now. That I can pick up the phone and call the person and have a conversation. I can say, can we meet for lunch? On this day and stuff like that. So I get it. You're right. Social media is here to stay, but let's fight to make social self care more of a physical, realistic thing than a screen thing. That's one thing
right.
we fight to do. We should fight to keep it real. And honestly,
Absolutely.
social media, you have to take a break from social media. You have to take a break, a week, a month. You have to take a break from social media because that is purging yourself, cleaning yourself, letting yourself. You even get better. When I don't go on social media often. When you go on and in and out, sometimes like people are fearing that they're missing information, but you get to enjoy it and get to understand what it is there for. and you use it for what it's supposed to be. It just doesn't become one that's like an idle screen that just keeps you busy and occupied all day and still shoves all your problems waiting for you. Nothing is changing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Angie, as part of social self-care, you would recommend, some days away from
So
social media activity and all that. Right,
the
right.
reason is because you have to understand that it's unrealistic standard of care online. So social media isn't always the reality, the pictures, the video. They tend to be edited. And if you don't give yourself those social breaks, you begin to, those things kind of seep into your self-worth, your self-esteem. It has a way of creeping into, there's a way that you have to guard you as a person. There's not a lot that you have control
Mm,
of, but there's things that you can control, you can guard. And it's
mm.
what you see, what you
Yeah,
hear, you interact with. I mean, what you're fostering to go in your life. That you have control of.
yeah. And even the self-comparisons as well. So in very subtle ways, you find yourself comparing what you do and what other people are doing and who is doing well and who is not doing well. And,
Now,
if you have a poor self-esteem and even self-concept, then that affects your mental health
absolutely
as well. So basically, we are going back to where we started this conversation, that it's first about you,
correct.
um, having a positive self-worth
Correct.
and perception about yourself, and standing in actually on a landscape that allows you to take a very good bird's eye view of everything around you and how that affects you
Right.
and affects your mental health as well. I
I
think
believe
that's a very
I believe in social media is, because there are ones that are realistic. We just deal with more ones that are more realistic, and those that can help boost our self-esteem and make us happy, like the comedy ones, the laughing ones, the joking ones. Like, those are the ones that are more realistic. Those are the ones that are more relatable. Not all these edited pictures of people showing you what they want to show you in their lives. I mean, to me,
right.
even just that strength and that energy to have to put a picture perfect of your life out there just to communicate with people socially is a mental health that you need to talk to somebody about. But if you're enjoying your life very well, you don't need to show any of that to anybody. It's okay to
Absolutely.
show some pictures, but
Absolutely.
it's all boils
Absolutely.
down to the self core, right? Self worth, self identity, who you are as a person. If you can't get grounded,
Absolutely. And then it brings in the concept on validation, internal validation and external validation, where, I mean, social media, social self-care, there's a whole tug of war on internal validation versus external validation.
right?
There's that struggle between self-worth and the worth of other people, and on that pedestal you find a lot of people struggling with mental health issues, essentially. So
You know
I'm
what?
very happy
What
that,
people realize is that with mental health issues, is little things seeping through small, like in little bits of
right,
quantities, right? So you're not realizing social self care or your social interaction with people and social
yeah,
media and everything is slowly creeping into your mental health. And because you think it's not, it doesn't seem like a big thing. You see, it slowly seeps in and it affects you. And
yeah,
it affects your inner core. It's okay to take time off. It's okay to reestablish your social friendship. It's okay to reestablish your social groups. You're a human being. And my thing is, if you take stock of your life from time to time, doing these things, it talks about who you are. And people might not
absolutely.
understand, but it's okay. You're living a life that has been given
Yeah,
to you every day. And You are accountable for the life that has been given to you. And for the things that you can control, if you could, is one of those things that I
Yeah.
think is your social being,
Yeah.
your social aspect, who you relate to, who you join yourself into. Because people are in groups that they don't need to be in. You know, people are in groups that they have no business being in those groups. You don't have to be in those groups to help your self-worth. Pull out, reevaluate, join other groups. And if there's no group out there you can join, create one.
Yeah. 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 And yeah, I'm very happy you mentioned that, because it's that time of the year that I believe a lot more people are also looking back at, their New Year resolutions and kind of checking out what's working and what's not, obviously. And I think that even when we talk about the domain of social self-care, then you realize that there's a lot of work around that, in terms of priming people and getting ourselves and other people to understand that, look, it's a very important domain in mental health,
Yeah.
and the support systems that come around it and all contribute to your mental health,
Right.
at the end of the day. And the Ghanaian system or African system is very much close knitted, and there's that sense of communality. And
That's true.
even when we talk about it in terms of social self-care, then we want to situate it very well
Correct.
and empower people to begin to understand the role of family systems and how they contribute to our mental health. So I think around last week or two, there was one news item that talked about a whole family that had moved down from the Netherlands, and I think they lived somewhere around, I think Ashanti region or so. I think Kumasi, Ashanti region. I've forgotten the area. And neighbors claim that these people, it was a man and his wife with two children, had moved into the neighborhood and had cut contact with neighbors. They hadn't seen them for a while, and so reported the matter to the police, only to get into the apartment and find that the man was dead, the woman was dead as well, and the two children were not dead, but very unconscious.
Wow.
So I thought about the whole story, and also in the context of social self-care. And in the follow-up stories, when news had trickled in around that, the mother of the woman had come in to say that her daughter had actually cut family ties with all of them, and so they didn't even know. Yeah, they didn't even know that this was the situation and this was what had happened and all that. So when I thought about this subject matter, then I also thought about asking how social self-care within this communal culture, where there seems to be a rapid breakdown of interdependence and all that, how do we begin to navigate social self-care in such a manner that we still get to enjoy all the good benefits of it and manage the ill aspect of it, and ensure that,
Correct.
I mean, externally, we still hold hands in that narrative, and there's no new dynamics that are so radically springing up and changing the whole situation as well.
Well, that's sad that she's saying that.
Yeah,
And it could
yeah,
be so many reasons that led to that particular situation. It could be that the
yeah,
family was toxic. They didn't know how to solve it and settle it move beyond that. But that's really sad. I feel terrible.
yeah, yeah,
One of the things is that we are social beings. And like you said, like maybe, I don't know if they put things online, but if they were online and people didn't even see them, they probably thought they just needed a few days of break or they just took time off. Number one is unplug. Unplug from the social media and start fixing your social lives that you physically have. Start working on those, right?
Yeah.
Those that are social media, you already have them. You could always go back. If they want to be there, they'll be there. It's social media, you can control it. So expanding the horizons of our comfort zones by creating new people, new opportunities, new friendships, new groups, you know, dissolving toxic old previous relationships, you know, fostering the ones that are good, that are working, putting in more time, more energy, more resources. It's just we're getting out of our comfort zone. We have to
Right.
realize that we have to keep social connections. And we were made like that. Even if we don't want to be part of anybody socially, we are. We are part of a family, you know, we're part of
Hardwired
something.
social
We cannot
connections. Yeah.
be by ourselves. If God is in
Yeah.
infinite wisdom, never made anybody born just drop somewhere, you know, even those who are born
Yeah.
surrogate, somebody gives birth to them. There's an actual connection of a person that they relate to, you know. So it's when it comes to kids, nurturing relationships, which is within our families, outside our families, immediate relationships. And for women, it's critical for our health, especially as we're growing. And you know, there are different phases in our lives, right? And different people are facing different things. The people going through sicknesses, the people going through divorces, the people going through death of loved ones, the people getting married, the people having children, and all those different seasons of your life, your social self-care is important because there'll be people there laughing with you during your marriage. Will there be people there crying with you during a death? Will there be people there with you when you're going through a divorce? It's all those
Yeah.
social aspects. So my thing is that unplug from social media. If that's something you're struggling with in social care, immediately start to work on the ones that you have conversations, you know, build boundaries, um, do what you have to do for social self-care because it's important. You're not an island. You never be an island. You know, like we're in
Absolutely.
different groups. We're in old group. We're in Achimota primary old group.
Yeah.
I'm in different old groups. You know what I'm saying? There are different social relations that we're connected to, but we're all
Yeah.
connected to it in different levels of degrees, right? Some we do more
Yeah.
than foster what's important to you. Foster what gives
Absolutely.
mental sanity, what gives you mental health, foster what gives you fulfillment, and
Absolutely.
foster your self care. Take care of you. Take care of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Angie, before, so if you have any questions, Angie is here to answer the questions for you.
It's
Angie,
in
I wanted to ask about before you go, mentoring and coaching as part of social self-care. I mean, you talked about um, social self-care being vital for women as well. I mean, through the developmental phases. I wanted to ask about coaching and mentoring because we also find that the men do a better job, especially in terms of mentoring and connections and social self-care. They do it and do it so well. How do we
but
begin to
but
build?
that's because they're not pulled from so many different angles. And sometimes women can sometimes instead of being vision oriented, become more emotionally oriented. And that's something that women cannot necessarily sometimes take out of uh,
Right.
actual beings. You know, men will argue and agree to disagree and move on, you know, and women will
Yeah.
always read into it and not necessarily kind of move on. And that sometimes stagnates our growth. You know, it makes it difficult for our self care and different groups that we form as women to work because it becomes cliquey, it becomes different types of things. But for me, mentoring and coaching is important. I have mentors in different areas. Even in the different self cares, I have different mentors in the different self cares. And as a person, mentoring is a form of self care. It really is. For you and for others. For example, as I mentor others, I'm able to give back to the community. The little experience that I have, the little things that I can share You know, this little light of mine, like I tell my kids, this little shine. And then after
Absolutely.
taking in from others, how do you keep filling in your cup and not emptying your cup, right? So as your cup is being filled, fill other people's cup. Mentoring is essential. You know, a mentor is important. And I mean, the thing is that we're talking, what about who is a psychosocial mentor? You know, that's one thing we're talking about in this aspect of self-care. You know, let's help people, give people a sense of community. Like you can see some young girls who are walking around, they seem aimless. Look, they are all over the place. You've been that age before. And sometimes I say that we could be a little judgmental. You know, if you were placed in an environment that kept you focused, that knew what to do, some people just don't. And when you see a problem, be part of a solution. Don't just complain about it. So allowing yourself to give back to the community, you giving back to others on a more personal level. You know, I believe that mentoring helps me develop my sense of purpose and belonging. It helps me even grow more. It helps me understand that I need more to be poured into me, especially when I'm pouring into others. So mentoring is part of a
Yeah.
self-care. I want to say that for the purpose of this thing, especially there are women and men listening to us, we want to mentor others. And we want the mentor relationship to be a judgment-free relationship, a relationship where
Right.
people feel forced. You know, people have to come to you to be mentored. People have to look up to you to be mentored. And when you're mentoring people, you are not the God. You make sense. You know, you make suggestions. You don't tell people what to do. I feel like mentoring can be a fine line because you can also lead people astray. I am so sorry. You can also lead people astray. So, I mean, mentoring is the type of self-care. If I don't know if I answered the question,
Yeah, you did. You did,
if I
Angie.
give
Angie,
up,
yeah, please finish with your statement.
I'm saying that we should give
Angie.
about giving back, giving back, giving back. I mean, if you look at you, doctor, look at all that has been poured into you. Look at all that you poured into yourself. Look at all of that. How could you not pour some out? How could you not raise others who are going to come up like you, who are going to fight mental health? One person can make a difference. Two people can make a difference. Three people, four, five. We want
Absolutely.
women to have good mental health. We want women to understand that our lives are not based on what the world is saying. We're individual human beings. Yes, the world creates standards, the world creates things, but understand yourself, right? Be who you are, do something in the world, have great social connections, be a mentor or be a mentee. Like have a mentor as you're being mentored. We're never too old to learn. And giving, giving back is meant. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also feel like doing little things for people socially. Like it's a matter of like even like you, Dr. Autry, you're into the psychic. So if somebody comes to see you, you could talk to them about situations, but providing a resource, right, to help them to deal with the situation is doing extra. It's social self-care because now you're going to influence this person this way. They're going to influence somebody else in another way. It's just not being selfish. Just pour yourself out there. There's a cup of tea, like you see when you were kids, right? You tip in your cup of tea, pour it out. Somebody will pour into you.
Just pour me
Just
out.
pour
Just pour me out.
song, but for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thing. Pour me out
Yeah.
as you poured, you know, as you
Yeah.
poured.
And thank you for that submission.
Who can give,
Thank you so much.
you know.
Angie, if I asked you to calibrate social self-care on a score of 0 to 10, on the wellness wheel, what score would you, I mean, in terms of prominence, what score would you give social self-care?
You mean my personal score?
Yes, I mean, from your own,
My perspective?
observation, if I asked you to calibrate social self-care in terms of its relevance and importance on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is the highest, where would you put social self-care?
For me, I'll put social 7.
Come again.
I'll put social at a 7.
7. Wow.
At a 7.
Wow.
A lot of things
Wow.
life has been as a result of my social self. So it's deep, it's big, and if you sit down and you think resources, family members, all different aspects. Let's talk about even psychological, emotional, physical, all of that. It's been through people. People are a key factor. So I will put 7.
Right. Absolutely. 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 Angie, thank you so much. Thank you. Angie, I know you have a lot of programs coming up. I mean, this year, I've enjoyed a number of series from you. We've talked about spiritual self-care. We've talked about physical self-care. We've talked about emotional self-care. I'm hoping that when you find time, we can have brief renditions of it on Instagram as well, so that other people can benefit from it. But before we go away, is there any projects that you are currently running that you want to put out there, your plant-based program and all that? I'm sure some exciting people would want to jump on board and, help out and all.
Well, thank you for asking. So in October, I took a group of about 20 women that I was like my own type of research. I grouped them and I gave them I did a self-care on, proper eating and nutrition. You know that. I sent you a picture. And so what I'm doing is I'm following up, right? I'm seeing the growth, how they're growing, what they're doing to get the results they're doing. And, some are doing great, some are not, different life factors, different reasons. So I'm doing my own little research, right? And so my next move is to continue. I'm collaborating with a lady who owns a restaurant. So I am not necessarily vegan, right? I'm flexitarian. I'm more of a plant-based vegan, honestly. But for most people, health-wise, I think that you correct a lot of your health issues, based on the proper doctor recommendations and what you do. To me, is work, right? It's something that has worked, that I've seen. It's 30 years in this whole journey, and I've seen that it's worked. So I'm collaborating with my district, to get more people healthy, more women. It's hard. It's hard. Let's not lie. It's hard. It's hard, and we have different strengths. And to me, it's like an epiphany. When you get that epiphany, when you get it deep, so that's one of my projects: getting women to eat well, to work out, to deep breathe, to stretch, to take control of your life. You could feel better in your 40s than you felt in your 20s. And I mean, absolutely, you could feel better. It's all perspective. It's all how to take control of your body. The body is your only true gift. And my thing is that I think I don't even know a quarter of it. I'm still working on just getting to know more about the body. What makes the body function? What makes the body? It's becoming so intriguing to me. So that's one of my projects. Another project, I'm working on a documentary that has to do with Ghana, right? So that's one of the other projects as well. And another thing is I want to bring more people to Ghana. So I'm working on that. So it's a lot of projects. I'm all over the place, I say sometimes. I'm working on a lot of things that I'm doing. And I haven't even talked about other projects that I'm doing with people. I'm collaborating with like 7 people on different aspects of projects. There's a lady that I met that intrigues me. She does self-care, but she does a picnic. She does picnics for people. So you could tell her you want a picnic and she'll give you a whole ambience. She'll pick a location. And she's been doing it for a few people. And that is intriguing to me. And so I'm trying to work with her, like how to create. She can come to your backyard and create a whole space. And you'll be in it for hours. So it's just people have so much. Like socially, like you're saying, there's so much. There's so much. So I would say that I'm always looking for opportunities to do stuff. I'm always overly busy. But I like that because it doesn't give me time to worry about things that I don't need to worry about. Focus, you know,
Yeah.
projects. But I think that from now till September, I need to take time for me. I'm gonna practice some of my self-care, going to the beach, cooking every day, you know, and I'm writing a book. Well, not
Yay!
I'm on my food journey and what I've done that has worked, all my struggles, because I've done every type of diet in the world before, and I mean it. What has worked, my recipe, because my recipes are more like Ghanaian, it's Afro curry Indian, it's like the three blends of spices together. So I'm working on that. I'm working on
We
other
can't
little
wait.
things.
We can't wait to read the book, Angie. We can't wait. Please work very fast.
Thank you.
Work very fast on it. Angie, before you go, can you share your social media handles with our audience?
I'm still working on that, Dr. Archie. That's one of the things I'll be working on this week. So, like you said, Utical Vibes is one of them. Utical Vibes will deal with the traveling part, the documentaries. Then I have adventures that deals with selling products from Ghana and other things. So I will send that to you, and when I share that with you, as soon as it's done this week, please blast it on all your social media. I think that's one of the things that I'm going to start working on. It's one of the things on my check get done before September.
Yeah, I'll do just that. And if you're in the States and you need a counselor, please, Angela is the best. If you're in New Jersey, anywhere around, and you need a counselor, Angela is the best, the best. So I just want to say a huge thank you to you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for the zeal around mental health. It's always exciting talking to you. We can't wait for your book. We'll be excited to have a whole live to talk about it and to share it with everyone. We also want to say a big thank you to our audience. I saw Veronica. I saw George. I saw Ifa.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Everyone who will watch later. I want to say a very big thank you for the social self-care support as well. Very, very important. Angie, you have the last word.
Well, what I want to say is that let's fight. As human beings, let's fight to keep our mental health, our physical health, our social health, our psychological health, our financial health, everything. Let's fight. It might never be 100% victory, but we can strive, you know. And as we're striving through, jot down those journal, what works, what don't, you know. We're all in this process together, you know. Just strive for mental health, and if you put that first, you will have everything like that's important. That's and when you're tired, please say you are. You're human. Just be you. Be real. Okay, take off all the hats and all the things, and let's just lay it bare sometime, and we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that note, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone. And keep supporting, keep connecting with us. Follow us for this and many more. We'll catch you on the other side very soon. And I know Andrew will be here to support with other mental health topics. Have a good weekend wherever you find yourself, and take care of yourself.
So once, with all the self-care that we've done, I can send like a few books or like links of things that people can listen, like resources, because people might want to do it and then you can share it on your phone. So I'll do that.
Absolutely. When you do that, we share it on our Instagram page as well.
Perfect.
So stay tuned. Angie, thank you. Love from Ghana to everyone in New Jersey. Yeah, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to our audience too, and everyone who watch later. Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Have a great day.
And
Ah.
Relax. Bye.